Hey everyone, and welcome to the You Don't Own Me podcast. I'm Juliana J, and I'm your host. Today, we are going to do a follow-up on self-care. I have to look at my notes because even though I listened to that podcast just now, I forgot what my note was. Oh, yeah. I want to talk about limiting yourself. So I see this a lot in people that I know and love, and just in work and everywhere, and in myself, that we have these really limiting beliefs that are guiding us through life, sort of, and we don't even know it, For example, you could have limiting beliefs like, I have a friend who's limiting. I think he has so many limiting beliefs, honestly. I don't think he thinks he's worthy of anything. I think he doesn't think he's smart enough. I think he doesn't think he deserves anything just normal, like a new pair of pants, say, or something like that. It's like he doesn't even deserve it, or a clean shirt. He doesn't deserve it. A new shirt, because this one has holes in it, doesn't deserve it. And I am so sorry. Of course, someone's decided to text me 1,000 things, or maybe one thought in like 4 different text messages, which I am totally guilty of. I can't blame them, but ignore the little thing that's happening. Anyway, limiting beliefs. So when you try to talk to him about it, though, like, hey, why don't you get a new pair of pants? But it costs too much money. I don't want to do that. But the limiting belief, the core of it is so deep down, he doesn't see that it's a limiting belief. He thinks it's legit because he's justified it in, pants cost too much money, which I agree. I mean, they can cost too much money, and there's a lot of us who are really struggling to make ends meet. And when I was a parent of small children, I literally didn't buy new clothes for myself for years because all that money in the budget went to their new clothes, So I get that. I totally get that. But that is not the case with this person, And I just think it's somehow throughout our lives, we were trained that we are limited. For myself, for example, I always thought I'm not smart enough because I'm dyslexic, so I can't read fast. So I must not be smart enough. I am not professional enough, so I must be stupid because I just don't fit this, mold of professionalism that I think exists, and maybe it doesn't even exist, but to me, it's like, I'm not professional enough, so therefore I'm not smart enough to be in the work world, or, whatever it is. I have a whole host of limiting beliefs that take, way more than one podcast to go through them all. And who wants to hear that? But what I'm saying is you can have these beliefs in yourself that you don't really realize that you have. Like maybe you don't think you deserve to get your tooth fixed, or, all kinds of things that don't even, make that much sense as to why you're not doing it. But somewhere inside of you, it might be that you don't think you're good enough for that, or, you're in your definition of self, there's all these limits that you don't realize are there. Like common things I see in people is, I can't dance, I can't sing, I can't make enough money, I can't surf, I can't skateboard, I can't write, all these types of things that they really want to do, but they feel like they can't. And sometimes, if there's something you really want to do, the limiting belief is so powerful because if you can't do it to perfection, then people are going to laugh at you. So you're just limited just in the fact that you don't want to step out on that limb to do that new thing or try that new thing or perfect a skill because you won't be perfect at it. So if you can't be perfect at it, you're not even going to try it. And that's a limiting belief because everyone is a novice when they first starts doing something, right? So um, it kind of doesn't make sense, but I am totally guilty of doing that. 100%. Many times. I mean, my whole life up until this point has been rooted in what other people might think. Like even in this podcast and being on this podcast, I think I've said this before, but I'll just say it again. Looking at myself, having to record myself for everyone to see, looking at myself as I edit, then doing it again is a huge out of my comfort zone for me. For one, my limiting belief, one of them was like, I'm a wallflower. I don't like, I don't need anyone to notice me. I'll just be over here, um, you know, hiding, waiting to leave, which, maybe that's also an introvert kind of thought process. But um, I just never wanted to put myself out there because I was really afraid of what other people might say about me because I scrutinize myself so severely, right? So um that you can have a lot of limiting beliefs, and that kind of came up in the podcast about self-care in that um you limit yourself even with self-care, like, oh, it's lazy to read a book for an hour, or oh, if I did that, I can't afford that $5 eye mask or $2 eye mask. And maybe that is true on some level, but for a lot of people it's maybe not so true, but you're limiting yourself. I can't take the time to check out and take a bath for 20 minutes and hope that everyone, can survive for the 20 minutes that I'm in the bath, or I can't, do any of these things that you really want to do because you're limiting yourself, and therefore you're limiting these opportunities for self-care by saying, you can't have that. You can't pay $25 or whatever it is to um, go get your hair styled. I mean, obviously, I have no idea how much that costs, but I would assume maybe it starts at $25, depending upon, I don't know. But anyway, um, I think there's a lot of that happens with us daily, all the time, and it's these small little tiny things like, oh, you know, I can't take an hour to read, or I can't go on a walk on my lunch break. I have to have my lunch at my desk while I'm still thinking about work, even though it's supposed to be my off time. I can't go take a walk or sit on a bench or go outside or, any of that stuff. I've got to run an errand or I sit at my desk and eat lunch, and it's limiting. And so I think when you're doing that in your daily life, it's so small, but it trickles out into the big things about your life, big steps, big, you know, you should feel like you're limitless. We all come into this world, you know, fairly much the same, but, you know, we all, we're, we don't come into this world with special tools or anything. The most powerful thing people have is the trust and the belief that they are limitless. That's a lot of very successful people believe. it can be done, not it can't be done, you know. I have a friend that every time we're going to do something, you know, we have to have this dialogue about how it can't be done, you know. Oh, let's go get lunch at this new place. Well, you know, we're not going to be able to get reservations there. And um, it's going to take too long. And what if we have to sit outside and it rains? And I don't know. Do you want to do that? And I don't know. I mean, I know it's my birthday and all, but maybe we should just go to the same place we always go to down the street that I don't really like. You know, it's limiting beliefs. They're limiting you in all these little things in your life, but they're also limiting you from places you could go, big steps in your life, whether it's like a promotion or going for a different job or starting a podcast or getting a dog or, I mean, of course, you have to be practical and rational about things in your life, but you also need to be really careful what that rationalization is. Is it rooted in your feelings that you aren't worthy, or is it actually rooted in, you know, well, I don't have enough money for that because I'd rather use that money for rent, or I'd rather, you know, do this or whatever it is, saving for a big trip, or I'm just, you know, trying to keep the car I have, or, you know, I need $5 for gas or whatever it is, you know, that's different. But if in your mind you're always limited, you know, I'll never get out of this place. I'll always be this. I'm an imposter. One day I won't even be this because someone will find out, you know, all those things are limiting beliefs about yourself. So I think it's a good exercise to kind of explore that for yourself, you know. If you do meditation, meditate on that. If you don't, then maybe make a list of what you think are limiting, or are you limiting, and just pay attention to yourself in the daily world. You know, in the daily world, do I limit myself with all kinds of things for no real reason? Like, you know, my colleagues are going to go get coffee, and I'm going to not go because I'm going to limit myself because even though I can afford it, I don't deserve that cup of coffee, or, you know, whatever it is, whatever it is. I know these are things that people with disposable income might think about themselves, you know. Other people who might be more limited or do it in different ways might think about things like um, limiting yourself in just taking a moment, you know, like I can't possibly spend 10 minutes daydreaming. I can't possibly, you know, spend 10 minutes just soaking in the sun, or, you know, whatever it may be. You know, there's something, and it's worth exploring, you know, it's worth looking into. What do I limit myself about? And what does it come from? And does it even make sense that I'm limiting myself on this particular situation? Could I, you know, like maybe explore that a little bit and see that? And when you hear yourself saying it, you know, a limiting belief, think to yourself, you know, that's a limiting belief. I'm not going to believe that anymore. I'm not going to, you know, think that anymore. And I think we're going to explore this more in another podcast, but I think the whole imposter syndrome is really connected with that, where, you know, I had this for a long time at work. I always felt like I'm such an imposter. Someday they're going to find out I can't do anything. You know, I'm not like a whiz at Excel or something like that. And one day they're going to find out and they're going to say, you can't have this job anymore. You know, whatever it is. I never felt secure in any job I ever had. I always felt like, you know, one day somebody's going to find out I'm not supposed to be here, and then I'm going to get fired or what have you. Um, I don't think that way about myself anymore, but that was the majority of my life, that's how I viewed my life. And so I think a lot of people like that. We're going to explore that imposter syndrome a little bit more in depth in another podcast. But think about that. Do you feel that way? If you feel that way, is it because of a limiting belief? Like maybe in school, you were told you weren't smart enough or valuable enough or, you know, something like that. I think that's, really important. So, limiting beliefs, everybody's got them. But the most successful people don't hold them so tightly and use them as a way to navigate the world. They um, they might use them in a different way, but they do feel like they're limitless. So you need to find a corner of your who you are as a human being to be limitless. Just start with that. What's it going to be? Like, it doesn't have to be spending money or anything like that. It can be like you are limitless in your ability to learn how to draw. You're limitless in that. It's really what you put into it. You're limitless in appreciating a sunset. It could be something small like that. Don't look at the sunset and go, wow, that's beautiful, but I could only look at it for two seconds because I can't really look at that, even though I love sunsets. And I get a lot out of looking at them and watching the sun go down. I can't do that. That's like 15 minutes. Be limitless. Be limitless in some aspect of your life, even if it's really small. This really small thing. Just try it and see, and make a list. See do you come up with any limitations? Can you trace them back to anything that happened in your life? Are you setting up a situation where it's reoccurring for you? Like you're setting up scenarios that prove your limitations, which is another topic that we'll talk about at some point. But are you talking to people in a certain way that they are going to confirm your limitations to you all the time? Are you picking people who like to show you your limitations? That type of thing. So give some thought to that. I'd love to know what you come up with and what happens, and we'll get back and talk about this topic more, but I just wanted to bring it up while it was fresh on my mind. So I wish you all a good day or good night or wherever you are, good whatever that is, and know that I love you and I care about all of you, and I am so very, very thankful that you've tuned in to listen to my rant on Limitless, I guess. So, love to you all. Take good care. I'll see you next time.